So being that you had you were told that you were HIV positive, they didn't request that your husband come in to get tested? Because normally they tell you to notify all your partners. Did you tell him to come in and be tested?
No, I just immediately got the police in. Because he told me he had it. And he had it for many years.
When did he tell you he had it?
The same day I found out I was positive. It was an advocate on this side. My mom was on this side. And I called him. And I said, so when you was going to tell me? And then he said, tell you what? I said, so when you was going to tell me? And then he said, tell you what? And I said, nigga, don't play with me. When you was going to tell me? Tell you. And he said again, I said that you gave me HIV. And his response was, no, babe, no. I said, nigga, don't play with me. He said, who you around? I lied. I said, nobody. He said he knew he had it, and he had it for years.
All right. So I'm so glad you came out, Brenda J, and we made this interview happen.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I mean, I was just, when people were tagging me, like in your clips on social media, I not to say that you're lying or anything like that, because I know you said that a lot of people are doubting your story, and I'm just like, and we talked about that, and we'll cover that earlier, but a little later in the show. But it's just that, you know, to see someone such as you that have been through like so much, like, you know, and so I saw the clip of you explaining that you are HIV positive.
I am.
Okay. Your husband is the one that I assume,
my ex-husband.
Your ex-husband. Sorry about that, because you do have a husband.
Yes.
And I do not want to misconstrue that.
He's HIV negative.
And he's HIV negative. Okay. Because you know they're going to ask, you know what I'm saying? And, but it was your ex-husband whom you believe you contracted HIV from.
I did.
Okay. And so, and that is no question about that. He was the one that gave it to you. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, he was sleeping with your father.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have to go all the way back, because that's a lot. That's a lot. And you're only 26 years old.
Yeah.
Between what time period did this happen?
I was 19 years old when I firstly met my ex-husband, and I met him through my dad.
You met him through your dad?
Yes.
Let's start with your childhood. How was your childhood coming up before we get to,
okay,
present day?
Well, I became addicted to sex when I was 8 years old, and I started having my first orgasms at the age of 8. And normally, kids in elementary school, when you have to take naps, you take naps. But me personally, I would take my mat. I will purposely move away from my teacher so they won't be able to see me, and I'll have an orgasm. Then I'll be able to go to sleep.
You would masturbate in your classroom?
Yes.
How did you learn how to masturbate?
Well,
who taught you that? Like,
it wasn't who taught me, it's what they did to me. And I learned my own body at such a young age. I couldn't get that rush feeling, so I wanted to get it. So I taught myself. It's like, how can I put this? When I was younger, they used to touch me down there.
Who is they?
My cousins.
Okay.
Yeah. So They used to touch me down there, so I would know like what feel good and what not feel good so young. And well, I don't know if I can say this.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say.
Okay. So first it started with anal. At 8 years old. It started with anal, then I learned how to make myself have an orgasm. Yeah. And
oh, wow.
I told my mom, she was married into this family that believed in incest, because it was that family that did it to us when we was kids. And my mom, she didn't know. My mom was young. She didn't know none of that. She was young with 2 kids, and she thought she was in love. Been there, done that. I understand.
When you say incest, how did you move in or marry into a family? Your mom married into a family that believes in incest.
She didn't know though.
Which is on your father's side, obviously.
No, that's her ex-husband. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me give you...
You see my face right now?
Let me give you a timeline.
Okay.
When I was young, my mom was married into a family. I didn't really know my dad. My dad went to prison for touching on other people's children.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is he a registered sex offender?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the fact that he's a bishop, and they were still like poking at him because he's a bishop and he's a registered sex offender, and he's still a bishop. So it started when I was younger. And my mom married into this family. She didn't know that they believe in incest. When I say somebody believe in incest, meaning that they know that's their niece, they know that's their cousin, they know that's their children, and they sleeping with them.
Okay.
That's what I
That is borderline pedophilia too, because are these adults sleeping with children?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't call that incest, because incest would be, I mean, yeah, someone could take advantage of like a child, an adult child that's younger, and then that child gets pregnant. Of course, that's a form of incest. But then there's the incest where, you know, you have two cousins that willingly date, or mother and son who are clearly of age that clearly date. Was this more so them taking advantage of children and children not knowing?
Not that wasn't just it. They knew they was cousin. They was still screwing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when did they first touch on you? Do you remember, or you was just so young?
My husband asked me that, and I said I really cannot remember that far back. I can just remember the orgasms because I know how it made me feel, and I know how the anal sex made me feel. And with the anal sex, I was more of disgusted. And when I first had the courage to tell my mom and her ex-husband, my mom, she was asking me questions like, you know, to see, you know, what I know. And I was like, well, some white stuff come out and it's slimy. And then she asked me, because he used to, you know, make me do that too at a young age.
It made you give him oral?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, who was this that touched you at this age?
At this age, it was my cousin.
Okay. And he was how much older than you?
He was like 18, 19 years old.
And you were like, what?
8.
Okay. And so he was doing anal on you?
Yes.
And making you perform
yes
oral sex on him?
And I remember like yesterday, I can even describe you where, when, and how. That's how much I remember it.
Okay. Where is that cousin now?
I'm married with kids. And I used to ask God all the time, like, how could he be free, but I had to suffer? But you don't never know what a person is suffering with behind closed doors.
And is he in Florida?
Yeah. We live in the same city and state.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, I don't care how or what people have to say when I'm talking about my family wise, like the other side of the family. I actually saw him a few Sundays ago. I had to sing. And
at church?
Mm-hmm.
He was at your church?
It was a program. I had to sing that.
Okay.
And I saw him. He came through the door. He looked right at me and like, God is my witness, my heart. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And soon I got done singing, I left. I didn't even stay.
Did he recognize you?
Oh, yeah, he did. He knew exactly who I am. And it's just like, even younger, like when I finally told, it's like he used to treat me like I'm the one that was wrong. You know, I never got an apology, but his wife reached out to me. And she asked me, and I told her the truth. But I feel like she kind of manipulated me, though, because I was young when she asked me.
How old were you?
I was like 17, 16 years old when she asked me.
Okay.
And, you know, first she was like telling me her story, and then, you know, she wanted me to come out, and I just told her the truth. Like, I didn't hide it.
And she's still with him to this day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's his name?
I don't think I want to go that far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you protecting him?
No. I just, how can I put this? I'm at peace. You know, I feel like if I open that closet, it's going to be a storm. But I'm really ready to face it.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah.
So all through elementary school, you're being abused and molested, of course. Now, did this continue? How long did this continue on with your cousin? Like with this particular cousin?
I told my mom 2 years later. The first time I had the courage to tell him no, he punched me in my head. And
how old were you?
I was still the same age.
Okay.
He punched me in my head, and that was the first time I thought I had the courage to tell him no. And then 2 years later, I finally told my mom and her ex-husband. So what her ex-husband did, and my mom, she didn't know, because I honestly thought she did, but she didn't know. He gave me a flashlight, He walked me out the front door, and we was living in the hood at the time.
Okay.
And he walked me out the front door, gave me a flashlight, and told me to leave because I'm breaking up his family. And honestly, it was to the point, after that situation, I have never told my mom anything else until I got grown. And I just felt like I didn't have a voice anymore, because I feel like if I say something, it's my fault. That scarred me. Completely scarred me. I remember crying, walking down with a flashlight, and then by the time I got to the stop sign, he told me to come back and told me not to say nothing else about it or anything, period. And that just...
How old were you at the time? Like 10?
Yeah.
So it was 2 years. Okay. And I mean, what was your mom's reaction to all of this? Like,
well, I didn't tell her everything until I had just turned 18. And the first thing I told her was I was gang raped by my godbrothers. And I was 12 years old when that happened. I was laying down and I was asleep at first, and then I felt the heaviness. So I kind of peeked my eyes open a little bit to see what was going on. And then when I realized what they was doing and who it was, I pretended like I was still asleep. One thing I learned being abused as a child is that when you panic, they panic. So, I was like, okay, I'm just going to lay here, Brenda. You know what to do. You know to go clean yourself up and don't say nothing about it. So I'm listening to them, like just saying, oh, my turn. Like literally, that's so freaking disgusting, bro. Just like it's like I was listening to them talking about how who next, who going next, man, move, you taking too much. And so I pretended like I woke up. And then I was like, why do I smell like sex? And they started laughing. And then I knew what to do. I knew to go in the bathroom, clean myself up. And they took my virginity from me. That's how I really lost my virginity.
Well, you lose your virginity when you consent.
It didn't feel that way.
So, okay, so the cousin, he never penetrated you vaginally?
Only my butt.
What?
Yeah. But I mean, think about it. When my mom got away for the situation and she went behind her ex-husband back and took me to the doctor, when the doctor checked me, she was saying that, he didn't tear nothing up down there. Duh, because he was in the back. He was smart. He knew what he was doing. So to me, this is not a first time thing.
Okay. So you didn't tell her until you was 18 that it was from the back?
No, I told her at the moment at the doctor what it was, and they said that because I waited so long, they can't do nothing about it. I didn't tell her until I was 18 about my godbrothers. It was 3 of them.
Okay.
And they ran a train on me.
Okay.
And they took my virginity from me.
Okay. All right. No, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is your mom didn't go to the police about your cousin?
Honestly, I don't remember a lot.
Okay.
When it come down to what my mom did. I know I did everything I could to protect my siblings, and I would tell my mom, and that's all I'm gonna say. She handled what she needed to handle.
So you and your mom are close?
Now, but as a child, I was so rebellious. Not because I didn't love my mom. It's because, I was getting abused. So I was crying out for help in so many ways. And then I'm getting sexual abuse, and then turn around, got to go to school and get picked on every day. Every day. Like, I have HIV now, but you would have thought I had it in elementary, the way people treated me. Like, I never had real friends. I always felt like I was disgusting, like I wasn't worthy, like I wasn't pretty. And then I had to go to school, feeling that way, and then come home and get raped every single day. Like, I never got a break. Okay. I didn't receive happiness until my husband, who I'm with now. That's when I started getting real happiness. And as a 26-year-old woman, I shouldn't be covering my body like I'm still that little girl when my husband wants to lay down with me. So.
Okay. You had mentioned that when we were out to lunch that you were sex trafficked.
Yes.
At 19. You said that the last time you were here.
It was 18.
18. And Fort Lauderdale was when you were sex trafficked.
Yes.
How, when, I guess, at what age were you like, you trafficked? Was it just at 18 or?
Okay, so it started with, I was so used to men taking advantage of me. My dream job as a kid was to be a porn star because I felt like that's all men wanted from me. So, I mean, I must be good at something. Okay. So I wanted to be a porn star, but I settled to be a stripper because my mom is a prophet.
Okay.
And my stepdad, not the one with the incest family, but my mom, ex-husband, who, well, I don't know what to call it because she's a widow now. And she was married to my dad, but he passed through COVID.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a porn star, but I settled to be a stripper. And that's how it all started.
Okay. And so when it all started, like how, like did a guy approach you? Like how did it?
So I was set up, and it was by somebody I thought was my cousin. Okay, let me see, how can I put this? My stepdad, who passed away from COVID, he was a wonderful father to me, and he had his side of the family. I kind of got with his cousin.
Okay.
And I call her my aunt, but she's really my cousin.
Okay.
And she took care of me because I had situations growing up. I was rebellious, and I had a sex addiction at a very young age.
Okay.
So she took me in, but she also had a daughter, but it was a goddaughter.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that the girl was jealous of me. I'm young. So, you the one taught me everything I know. So it was one day, we was in Pompano. And I wanted to fit in. So I wanted to smoke too. I wanted to fit in. Like, I'm the church girl. I never was able to really live the life.
Okay.
Even in the strip clubs, like, the girls be like, you don't need to be in here. Like, you can tell you a church girl. You got the church heels on. So we was at Motel 6.
Okay.
Motel 6 in Pompano Beach is next to a truck stop. Forgot the name of it. It was next to a truck stop.
Okay.
And I always wanted to follow her. So I wanted to be wherever she go. And I followed her to this room, and with some people in there, they were smoking. So I'm thinking it's just weed,
Yeah.
That's what I assumed. Like, I don't know too much about drugs. So they passed the blunt. One thing I didn't know is you don't smoke with everybody. I didn't know that. And they was passing around, and I was smoking it. Didn't know I was smoking Flocka.
What is that?
Flocka?
No.
Flocka was one of the craziest drugs in Fort Lauderdale. People was eating each other's faces off. Well, they said a girl ate somebody's face off.
Like that zombie drug or something?
Yeah, that's Flocka.
You heard of that, Java? Okay, I am so green. I was like, what the hell is that? Nigga, no, all I know is K2 out here. It's crack. I'm old school crack. Okay, so you smoking Flocka. So it wasn't marijuana.
It was like a mix. It was like they'll put a little bit in there, and then they'll put the other stuff in there. And then they roll it up, and then you hit it. Flocka is not a drug that anybody should be on because of the way it made me feel.
How did it make you feel?
I would not disclose that because I'm not going to jail.
No, I'm just saying.
It make you want to do crazy stuff and put it like that. It make you want to do crazy stuff to people.
Okay.
And also, not only was I was on Flocka, I noticed, like, looking back now that I'm older and wiser, I noticed that she left me with them. So not only was I'm like out of it, they gave me more on top. So now I got some white stuff in my hand. They know what it was. And she had me lick it. And then turn around, I get in a car. First she had me.
Would the white stuff be LSD?
I think it was. What's that? I think it's Molly. I think it was Molly.
Oh, okay. I'm just okay. Go ahead.
And then, she had me to brush my hair, and I didn't know I'm high, so I have no clue what's going on around me. All I know is I don't see my cousin anymore.
Okay.
So she brushing my hair and all this and all that, and she put me in the car, and I'm riding. Like, I'm feeling myself. I'm high. Like, I ain't never felt like this before. And next thing you know, that's how it all started.
So did you continuously get high on the drug and then you would prostitute?
They would give it to me over and over. And then I didn't have a say-so of what I did.
Okay.
You know, it was get out, go in, come out, bring drugs. They didn't sell me for money. They sold me for drugs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you addicted to flock?
I was never addicted. That was my first time and only time.
Okay. But you just said they would give it to you over and over.
Okay, so let me explain because I don't want you to get confused.
No, you're good.
Okay. So I'm in the car. They're passing me over and over in the same day.
Oh.
They kept giving it to me over and over to the point I could have died. Like I could have died. I could have overdosed because it was just more than just Flocka they was giving me. And the more they had me out, the more they can use me. And then, I don't know if I want to talk about that, Jesus. After that, they were selling me for drugs. And then when I guess I knew too much.
What you mean?
You know how when a person say you know too much? Like, how can I put this in a way? Like watching Power and no witnesses.
I'm confused.
Okay, you know the saying in Power, no witnesses. So they got to get rid of the witnesses too, even though they was innocent.
So were there murders going on around you or something?
I'm not going to speak on that. But what I can say is they tried to kill me, yes. And I just started talking about this, I want to say a year ago is when I became comfortable with it. And I only told this story twice on TikTok.
Okay.
I never had the courage to do it on my YouTube channel. Never. I never had the courage. And every time I told it on TikTok, I cried.
How long were you trafficked?
3 days.
Okay. And so in between the 3 days, they're passing you drugs, and you're going in and out of hotel rooms to have sex?
No, it wasn't even hotels. It was literally people's houses.
So you're going in people's houses for 3 days?
No. Okay, let me show you. 1 lit that day. 2nd lit that day. 3rd lit that day. 5 lit that day. Okay, stop. Okay, next day, do it again. And it wasn't for money. It was for drugs. They didn't even got it. They didn't even sell me for money. They wanted drugs. So I was trafficked by crackheads, pretty much. Because, I mean, you ain't getting no money out of it.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, like, did they keep you high for 3 days or something? Like, how if you got high just that one day?
Okay, I'm trying to avoid talking about it because it's not easy for me, especially being like, so, okay. The first day, after the lits, they pulled up to a bunch of guys. I had no clue where I were or who I was even with. And something in my spirit just kept telling me to call my mom, let them know if something happens to me, I want y'all to know I love you. But it's like, for some reason, I couldn't do it. Like, I was shaking because I was high too. And it's crazy because my mom said that same night she had a dream. And one thing about me and my family, we're dreamers. So my mom had a dream and she called my aunt and asked her where I was, and she said she didn't know. So that same night, we pulled up to a group of guys. The guy got in the car and he passed me something. And what he passed me was not Flocka, it wasn't weed, it was none of that. It was something worse. And I smoked it, not knowing what I was smoking. And then I saw him pass something to him. And I had an idea what it was, and I just knew something was gonna happen to me at that moment. I just knew that my life was over at this point.
So you got high twice?
I think you get confused too. Okay. The first day, I was already high on drugs.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
After I got high off drugs, they were selling me for drugs. They went to a group of guys out of nowhere. I'm not from here, so I didn't know where I were. And the guy got in the car. I would not describe this man. I remember his face like it was yesterday. And he got in the car. He gave me something. And the person in the front was like, let me hit that. He was like, nah, bro, you don't want that. That's that white boy. So the guy that got in the car gave the person up front something. I kind of figured, I knew what it was. It was a gun. I knew what time it was. I knew too much. And circle back around, the guy got out. So at this point, I'm holding my phone. Like, I see my phone, but I really can't see my phone. So I'm like, I'm finna text my parents, my family. If anything happens to me, I want y'all to know I love you. So.
But I thought, did one of the cameras turn off? Check that one. I thought you said that the first time you did drugs, you was at a hotel in Pompano.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they gave you the flocka.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're in the car first day.
All this the same day.
Okay.
Remember I told you, she got me dolled up. I had no clue why.
So you get in a car and they got a gun, and that gun is for you, or is it for someone else?
It was for me.
Okay. All right. And so you were only trafficked for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's how they shook me. Like, I was scared for my life because the gun was put to my head in the woods.
So for the other 2 days, like, how did they keep you like?
Because I knew they can kill me.
So you didn't get high the other 2 days?
No, I was shook. I just did whatever they told me to do.
Okay. So how did you get away?
I left Pompano.
How did you leave?
I got on the bus and I left. And never looked back.
How'd you get a bus ticket? Who took you to the bus station?
Okay, now I'm really going to go in details.
Okay.
Motel 6, Pompano Beach, Florida. My aunt was the general manager. That's how I even got in Pompano. A lot of people don't know that Motel 6 the managers have apartments on there. They think it's the office, but it's an apartment. So my aunt, she was the general manager there. That's how the motel got involved. That's how all these people got involved. Like, Pompano Beach, Florida is not no luxury in the area I was in.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Hold on for a second. Hold on.
Begging them was not. I don't want to say no names or nothing, but I'm just gonna say the female. She didn't want to hear, we ain't gonna let her go, we're gonna let her go. But he convinced her to. But the only reason why I feel like he convinced her is because I prayed for my heart and I was just like, God, please don't let me die like this. And I always tell people, if you never had a out of body experience, that was my moment. I swear, I saw my body on that ground. And there would be times that in my marriage, I'll ask my husband, like, babe, I'm living? Like, out of nowhere. Because I done been through so much, and I know it's a lot to take in, it's a lot to believe. But a lot of people don't understand that my trauma caused me to have anxiety. It caused me to have fear, depression. Like, girl, I've been depressed my whole life. And I am just finally getting out of that. And now it's like, I'm not afraid of what I say and who I say it to and what I say about anymore. I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah. Which camera went off? This one. I knew it went off. How much did we lose? We didn't lose anything. Okay. Sorry. All right. So. All right. I figured you needed a meeting, so
I know
a minute.
It's a lot to take in, and I know. I told you it sounds believable. I told you.
No, it's okay. No. That's not that. I was worried about that camera going off, so that's why I said, "Give me a second. Let me go check." But no. You good? Okay. So here's my concern: is that you're gonna be having a lot of people watching this interview. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be more than you've probably had in combined on a show. We have a very, very big platform, and if I'm not at liberty to say what's true or what's not true, that I was not there. But you have to understand, there are people that are going to be watching this interview, and if the details don't match, they're going to say something. So I don't want you to feel as if it's, how can I put this, Jasmine?
I mean, they did that on Charmaine them. A lot of people, a lot of my supporters, they know, and they were snapping under their comments to other people who don't know me, who don't know my story. I've been telling my story for a couple of years now, and my story have never changed.
Okay.
And I just finally got to the point where I am now ready to, tell it to the world. Like, I've been doing this.
Okay.
No,
it's okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, but I understand about the comments. I dealt with that under Charmaine them YouTube video. But go watch,
I try not to watch other people's shows because I don't want it to affect. I don't want the way they do a show to affect the way I conduct my show, because then we may replicate the same show.
Right.
So I did not watch any of your other interviews. I only saw clips. So I didn't watch it in its entirety. Now, who am I to ask you to provide certain details about things that you say are definitely true about you? Because I mean, it's how can I put this? I mean, it's a really bold, like, for a person to come out and say that they have HIV, they got it from their husband, and their dad introduced them to their husband, and he was sleeping with the husband. Your dad was sleeping with the husband. I mean, you just, to me, like, who am I to say that you're truthful or not, right? Because this is trauma. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So, like, when it's different than me sitting here talking to somebody that slept with someone's husband and say, "Oh, you're lying," versus me telling you that you're lying about your trauma and your pain. But I do know, by doing this for so many years, I know how these comments are gonna go. Okay, so if it's something you don't want to talk about, just to say I don't want to talk about it, because I would rather save you I'm not gonna say it's gonna be bullying or anything like that, but
I would say I don't want this story, because this is my first time actually talking about it on some other platform. But what I can say is I would tell you the rest, and we can keep it off.
Okay.
So after that situation, this off the records, right?
Okay. What's off the record right now?
Well, I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my cousin, we grew up calling each other sisters and cousins, So I had went with my aunt, but she's really my cousin, because I was in a situation where grown men in the family was molesting me. DCF got involved when I was a kid in middle school. This happened in middle school. I had gotten involved in a situation where I thought I could trust I didn't have nobody. So not even my mom at the time. So I finally thought I had somebody to trust, and I trusted the lady at the school, what do you call them?
Guidance counselors?
She's not really a guidance counselor. It's people that pull you and talk to you. It's another word for therapy, but it's for kids. And I thought I can trust her because she always, she knew I was broken in a way, but she didn't know why.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, I got something to tell you, but you have to promise me you're not going to tell anybody. And then she was like, what? And I went in details about the married man, sucked on my breast in my parents' house.
Your what? Say that again.
My parents' house.
What married man?
My uncle.
Okay.
So that's how, so my mom, what she did was, because it was a big old thing, DCF got involved, police got involved, all of this is going on.
And this is all in middle school?
All in middle school.
Okay.
So what my mom did, she sent me with my aunt to keep me, because it was a lot going on, even the hatred towards both parts, because at the end of the day, I'm the child, so And it happened in my parents' house. So I ended up getting sent to my aunt. At first, as a kid, I felt like my parents chose them over me, because why send me away? But I feel like, to de-escalate the situation, I feel like maybe that's why they sent me, because they wanted peace. I don't know.
So when they sent you with your aunt takes you to Pompano Beach.
So I stayed with her even when I was 16, 17, and then 18. I was with her the entire time.
Okay.
Even all throughout my high school.
Okay.
I was with her.
Okay. So where was she living?
Okay, so first she was living in South Carolina. She came down to Jacksonville. She moved here in Jacksonville. And we were staying, well, you probably don't know what it is, but we were staying on the east side at first. And then we just like moved around a lot because she was single. She had no husband, and, you know, it was just her. And she was taking care of me. Well, I call it the problem kids, because all the young ladies that she did have, our family couldn't deal with us. And it was me, another young lady, and the cousin that set me up.
Okay.
And then another cousin, she come in and out. But it was like the problem kids was always ended up with her. And I grew up with her, in a way.
Okay.
So that's how she ended up getting, we had moved to South Carolina because she had lost the place in Jacksonville. So we moved back to South Carolina, and the cousin that's wishy-washy, the one that come in and out, her mom was married to a man who was already a general manager at a Motel 6. So he put my aunt on because she have good skills when it come down to like apartment, section 8 and stuff like that. She been doing that for years. So that's how she got into Motel 6. So the first time we moved to Kissimmee, Florida. Is that Kissimmee? Yeah, Kissimmee, Florida. I call it Kissimmee. We moved to Kissimmee, Florida. Motel 6 in Kissimmee, Florida. It was right across the street from Old Town.
Okay.
That's when I started messing with drug dealers and, you know, stuff like that. So we moved from Kissimmee. We moved from Kissimmee straight to South Florida. That's how we got there. She became a general manager at the Motel 6 next to the truck stop on Pompano Beach. And the truck stop, Motel 6, another motel, and a gas station right here.
Okay. So I guess what I was trying to figure out, I don't see why you wanted to leave that out. There was nothing to leave out. It really gave context to your whole story. Because
the part about the married man, that is...
I mean, we could bleep the married man part, but like it gave context to everything that you explained. So I don't see why, if we leave it out, it's actually going to make the other details seem like, okay, we're not following. However, if you put this in, it makes you understand it more. Does that make sense? Because you didn't say anything like incriminating, or does that make sense?
Yeah, except for the fact that how I felt about my mom just now.
Okay.
Just take that part out.
Okay.
But everything else can stay. It's fine.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Real quick, let's get into the details of like how you contracted HIV. So like, you know, when did you meet your husband, your ex-husband?
So I was 19 years old when I met him. I was technically kind of fresh out of high school. I was supposed to move to I was supposed to just visit Tallahassee. I wasn't supposed to move. But my older sister on my dad's side, we really didn't grow up together. And I was always the oldest on my mom's side, so I really never had a big sister. So my sister kind of convinced me to stay and go to school, and I used to feel like I was dumb. I was too dumb. Like all I knew I had was my body. So I used to feel like I was too dumb to go to school, and she used to like, Brenda, you're smart. Like she pushed me to go to school, so I signed up and I got in.
Okay.
And that's how I went to Tallahassee, other than the fact that my real father, when I was in Jacksonville, he heard me and my sister on the phone, and he was like, I want to see you, blah, blah, blah. And I remind you, I haven't seen my dad since I was a kid.
Okay.
So I only met him like twice as a kid. Like I knew about my mom being one of the victims. You know, I'm pretty much a rape baby. my mom was a victim. She was a child when my dad slept with her while he married his brother's wife. And his wife knew, his mother knew, his sisters knew, all of them knew that my mom was a child.
Okay.
And he got her pregnant. He was molesting the kids at the church, girls and boys.
Okay. You say he's still at the church?
Yeah, he's still a bishop.
In Jacksonville?
No, he's in Tallahassee.
Okay. So when you get to Tallahassee, how did you meet your husband?
Ex-husband.
Okay,
so what I got was the thing is, a prophet told me the day before, because my dad, he church a lot.
Okay.
And even though he do what he do, like the women of God that's around him, they don't play that. So the prophet, Apostle Lovett, she told me, Brenda, that's a man gonna be in your house, he mean you no good. And I was like, well, I don't know nobody out here. So it was one day we went to the thrift store, and it was me, my older sister, and my dad. We went to the thrift store, and we was just looking around. Like, I'm not from here, so I'm just looking around and see what I like. But my ex-husband saw me before I even saw him or knew who he was. And he was next to a guy named Avery. And my ex-husband told Avery I would eat her drawers off. And Avery was like, why would you say that? Like, you crazy. And they started laughing. And he was like, well, thank God I ain't got to never see her again. She just passing through. He was like, oh, you going to see her? That's Pastor Jenkins' daughter. And that's how he knew about me. Okay. I didn't meet him until he came to my house to put up a TV for my dad, for my sister.
Okay.
So my dad bought my sister a TV, and my dad had him. I didn't know that him and my dad was, I didn't know none of this. And my sister, I'm not going to lie, she did warn me about something that happened to her similar with my dad. And I mean, I'm the type of person, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to just go based on what you tell me about a person. So my dad had him to come over, put the TV up. I didn't really pay the dude no attention because I wasn't interested. I had a miscarriage before I even moved to Tallahassee. And I was at this point in my life, I just want to focus on me, because at this point, I'm not getting nowhere in my life. Like, it feel like I was just going in circles in my life, just going in circles over and over, over and over. It felt like nothing was right for me. Nothing. I just felt worthless, if you want to be honest. And when he first came in, he went to my sister's room to help with the TV. I heard them talking, but me and my dad was talking in the living room, and my dad was asking me about school and stuff like that. And I was like, everything is good. I got in, I started this, I get my little check, And as they was walking out, I noticed the way he looked at me. I used to be a stripper, so I know how men are. So what I did, I played it off like he was looking at my sister. And I was like, why are you looking at her butt? Laughing it off, so that the tension can be off me. And that's when they left. That was the first time I actually met him. Okay. And then my dad brought him back again for Thanksgiving, and that's where it started. That's when everything started. Okay.
And how long, I guess, had you guys started dating before you guys became intimate?
It wasn't long at all. I had a sex addiction.
Okay.
So it was, I want to say, a month.
Okay. And so you're sleeping together. How long after you guys met did you get married?
You want me to lie? You want me to tell the truth?
Tell the truth.
I want to say 2 months, maybe. Okay. 2 or 3 months. Okay. It wasn't long at all. It happened so fast. Like, we met, like, we actually started talking in Thanksgiving, like, but we were just kind of like friends, but then it turned into talking on the phone all night, all like little high school stuff. And then I want to say we got married in March. I want to say March.
Okay.
January, February, March. I want to say March. We got married at the end of March. So It really wasn't that long.
Okay. And I guess, how long were you guys married?
Legally, I want to say a year and some change.
And when did you find out you were HIV positive?
I found out when I left him, and I moved back to Jacksonville. And my mom, and God bless the day, my dad, they took me to my first appointment in Jacksonville. And I'm thinking I'm just, going to check on baby. And this is the first grandbaby, so everybody excited. So by my mom being a prophet, it's like she knew something. And I didn't realize it until now. But when looking back at my photos, I was like really skinny. And I've never been skinny in my life. And my mom told the doctor to test her for everything, and I mean everything. And they test me for everything. If you don't request HIV, you're not going to get the HIV.
Okay.
So they tested me for the HIV, and then I went home. I'm on the phone with my ex-husband.
Okay.
So I'm on the phone with him, and the nurse called me, and she's still my nurse to this day. The nurse called me, and she was like, "Hi, Brenda, I need you to come in here tomorrow, the earliest possible." And I was like, "Why?" Like, I just came here there. Like, I'm tired. I'm being pregnant. I'm tired. She was like, "I really need you to come." So I called my mom, and I was like, "Mom, like, they said I need to come tomorrow." Mom got quiet. So I didn't say nothing. So I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was worried. I was asking the Tallahassee mom group, why would they want me to come back in? So I called my ex-husband. I was like, "There's something you need to tell me," because they want me to come back in. Like, I just started, like, trying to figure out everything. Like, people were saying, like, "Oh, you had the glucose test, you probably failed." And I was like, "I never took no glucose test. What are you talking about?" So I was just freaking out. So the next day my mom came and got me. We went to the hospital. And when we went into the hospital, I noticed when I first came the first time, I went this way. Infection disease is this way. So I noticed they took us this hall instead of this hall. But on the walls, you can see the different diseases, HIV, herpes, all the diseases for moms, pregnant women. So I was like, "Mom, why?" Like, I was just like, what the heck is going on? So we went in the room, like, knots happening in my stomach at this point. So the doctor came in, and she was like, "Would you want your mom to stay in here or something, if you feel comfortable?" And I was like, "Well, Mom, whatever it is, just let me figure it out. Let me swallow whatever it is." So my mom stepped out, and the lady sat down in front of me, and she was like, "Brenda, we tested your blood. You're positive for HIV." And I screamed on the top of my lungs. Like, literally. I screamed, and I said, "I'm too young. That's impossible." First of all, I had no knowledge of HIV and AIDS. Like, I knew, I don't want to say that. I knew certain people in my life, personally, because you can't disclose, but just say somebody that's close to my blood have it. And I knew about it, but I really didn't know about it, because I was one of those people that believed that if you touch somebody, you're gonna get it. If you bathe behind them, you're gonna get it. I believed that. I was one of those people too. And my mom came in, and she was like, what's wrong? And then I was like, "You tell her. I'm not telling her." And that's when they told my mom she's HIV positive. And it's like, hearing that made me so numb to the world. And as we was leaving, I was walking so slow. And I'm looking around, and I'm just like, why is the world still moving? Why is the world still moving?
Was this your first HIV test ever?
No. Not at all.
Okay.
And even before, like the beginning of my pregnancy, I tested negative. And I didn't get it until anal.
Okay.
And that's one of the quickest ways to get HIV. So that's why they call it the rainbow disease.
Okay. What do you mean the rainbow disease?
A lot of people call HIV the rainbow disease, and that's not true.
What do you mean?
I don't know how to pronounce that thing. I don't want to disrespect them.
You talking about the LGBTQ?
Yeah. A lot of people,
HIV doesn't have a face color name.
Right, but a lot of people be like, "Oh, that's a disease." No, it's not.
Okay.
It's something you can go get a tattoo and end up with HIV.
So let me ask you a question. So, like, you were pregnant and then you did anal.
I did, okay. let me go back to our relationship. So we ended up living together. And when I say living together, it was me, my sister, her old man, my old man, and then her daughter. So at this point, everybody done moved in.
Okay.
So we got like this family thing. So me and my ex-husband, we moved out and did our own thing because we ended up getting married. And it was a lot of drama. So we ended up doing our own thing. I took my school check, and I'm the one that bought us that apartment. And I'm the one that furnished it. So that's how we got in our own spot. And we got married and got in our own spot. And then that's when I got pregnant is when everything changed. When he started doing the drugs.
Hold on for a second. Hold on. Okay. She can still keep. Those still are going. Okay, yeah, so you can keep going.
So that's how all the drugs was getting involved. He was doing drugs real bad. He was using our rent money to buy drugs. And then after that, it was just like, at this point, he's getting abusive. He starved me. He wouldn't let me get no water. Like, he was just... The point is, he got tired of living a lie, and that's he'd rather be with a man than a woman. And I actually asked him that, like, why didn't you? Like, why you just couldn't leave me alone? Why was I your target? After everything you knew about yourself, why was I the target?
So when did you find out he was sleeping with your dad?
So I went through his phone one time, and...
Oh, she got it. It's cool.
I'm not the type of person to believe in going through your man's phone because I feel like if you go in there, you're going to find something.
Okay.
So I went through his phone and I noticed a man's butt.
Okay.
And the butt was my dad's butt. So I saw the messages. I know that my ex-husband, he used to trick. And I saw the messages between him and my dad. My dad was paying him to trick with him. So this ain't no they was in love type stuff. It was he was paying them, and they was tricking like that.
Okay. Did you confront your dad about this?
I did. My dad is the type to sweep stuff on the rug. If you ask him about being a sex offender, he ain't gonna answer. If you ask him about, marrying his brother or sister, he ain't gonna answer.
So is your dad HIV positive?
I can't answer that.
Okay. Now, your husband, when you got the news, did they ask your husband to come in, your ex-husband to come in to get tested as well, too?
Okay. So how that happened is the news got involved. Okay. It is a lot trying to explain at once, but when I found out, the day I found out I was positive, the mother before me that he was with called me, and she said, "Hi, you know who I am?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, at this point, I don't care about the world right now.
Okay.
And she was like, "Do you know Derek HIV positive?" I said, "I know now, because I am." So my mom and the HIV advocate was sitting next to me. And God bless the dad. Her name is Carrie. God bless the dad. She was, she had begged me to lock him up because, I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to. I didn't know what to do at this point. Like, it ain't even been 24 hours of me finding out I'm positive. I don't know what I want to do. I don't even know how to process it that this is happening to me. So she was like, he did the same thing to her. Her son, unfortunately, ended up getting it. She found out during her labor. I found out a month before my labor. So she was just like, it's too late for me, but you can do it. You can do it for us. There's so many people that he's doing this to, and he's not taking accountability. And I just finally gave in because when she said, "Do it for my son and your daughter."
So has your baby daddy been, your ex-husband, baby daddy, has he been charged with knowingly transmitting HIV?
Yes.
What's his name?
Derrick Henry. DERRICKHENRY. Or you can Google "man infected pregnant wife with HIV, Tallahassee, Florida."
Okay. So being that you had you were told that you were HIV positive, they didn't request that your husband come in to get tested? Because normally they tell you to notify all your partners. Did you tell him to come in and be tested?
No, I just immediately got the police in. Because he told me he had it. And he had it for many years.
When did he tell you he had it?
The same day I found out I was positive. It was an advocate on this side. My mom was on this side. And I called him. And I said, so when you was going to tell me? And then he said, tell you what? I said, so when you was going to tell me? And then he said, tell you what? And I said, nigga, don't play with me. When you was going to tell me? Tell you. And he said it again. I said, that you gave me HIV. And his response was, no, babe, no. I said, nigga, don't play with me. He said, who you around? I lied. I said, nobody. He said he knew he had it, and he had it for years. So I took that information, I gave it to Tallahassee Police Station. They investigated, and they found out that it's true. He knew he had it. He knew before he laid down with me he had it. He knew before he met me he had it.
Okay. Now hold on for a second. I think this is not your ex-husband.
That's him.
So when I read this article, it says a Leon County man is behind bars, and this article just was published last year. So did all this happen last year?
No.
So I wonder why it was published.
That's new to me.
April 27th, 2022. So it says a Leon County man is behind bars charged with infecting a woman with HIV. According to police, Derek Henry is accused of knowingly infecting a woman with HIV without informing the victim of his condition. Reports say the victim learned she had contracted the disease back in September of this year. So it says that back in September of this year. But the article was published April 27th. So if the article was published April 27th, 2022, and knowingly infected in September of this year, how is that part? Who wrote this article? Reports say the victim learned she had contracted the disease back in September of this year. According to officials, Henry was aware of his condition while he was with the victim and did not disclose the information until he was confronted by the victim, who found out she had contracted the disease after prenatal screening. Henry was arrested back in 2013 for failure to register as a sex offender. Hold on for a second. As a sex offender. He is now in a Leon County jail. Police say the victim met 43-year-old Eugene Oglesby.
That's not him.
Okay, so this article that I'm reading has a picture of you say that's your ex-husband. Mm-hmm. They're talking about him. But then I'm continuing to read. The police say the victim, 43-year-old Eugene Oglesby, through a dating app called Jack, then arranged to
him.
go.
But I do see the article. It says April 27, 2022. But this is not even the same name. It have one name and then it have his name.
Let me ask you a question. If you had a sex addiction, how do you know he didn't give it to you? I mean, you gave it to him.
Because I was smart. I got tested. I stayed getting tested. Even when I got pregnant, I was getting tested. Before I met him, I got tested. So the police investigated, and they found out he knew for a very long time. When he knew, I was still in school.
Okay.
Let me pull the article up. I used to have him screenshot in my phone. You're right. That is his face, but it's not, the article is not about him. That article is about us.
Okay, so you're 26 now.
Mm-hmm.
This happened when you was how old?
I was 19 when I first received. I was 20 when I got diagnosed with it. I had just turned 20 years old.
Okay, hold on real quick. A Tallahassee man is facing charges of violating the health code after police say he knowingly infected his wife with HIV. 36-year-old man faces charges of infecting his wife with the virus without informing her he had been positive since 2014. He was arrested on a warrant Tuesday after his wife contacted Tallahassee police. The Tallahassee Democrat is not naming the defendants so as to not identify the wife. The couple married in March. Court records say prior to their wedding, the husband was tested for sexually transmitted diseases. Prior to the wedding, the husband was tested for sexually transmitted diseases. He told her the test results came back negative. In May, she became pregnant, and during prenatal blood work in September, she had learned she had contracted HIV. Court records say the woman who told the police she hadn't had any other sexual partners after the couple wed confronted her husband, who told her he had had HIV for years. TDP retrieved his medical records from a previous incarceration at the Leon County Jail. They discovered while there in 2014 he was being treated for HIV and had developed an educational plan concerning his diagnosis. Okay, state statutes relating to STDs. Okay. And so, give me a second here. Okay, so about your dad. So your ex-husband, he's not in jail anymore?
No,
he's not.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
I talked to him yesterday.
And what was that conversation like?
I asked him why me, and he told me.
And what did he say?
He said I saw you at the thrift store, and he said I would eat your drawers off. That's the story I had told you earlier.
Can we talk to him? You think he'll talk to me?
Good luck.
Okay. I don't know. This is a lot to process, and
but I warned you.
Okay. So how you're married now? How long have you been married to your current husband?
It's going on 6. I've been HIV positive for 6 years. This year makes 7. I met him a year later, so this will make 6 years of us being together and 5 years of marriage.
Okay, and he's negative. Is he on?
He's HIV negative. He's not on anything, because when you take your medicine and you become undetectable, it's 0% chance for you to give it to the next person.
Who said that?
Oh, that's facts.
You sure?
You on PrEP?
No. I've been HIV positive almost 7 years now. My husband have a video of him going to my doctor, and my doctor explained to him exactly. Like, that's why I said this is not new to me. Okay. I've been telling my story for years. And actually, what made me get known on YouTube is because I shared my experiences. I shared the good and I shared the bad. I shared my husband getting tested. I shared me getting tested. I shared the conversations I had about when me and my ex-husband had conversation. I told them about it. I never had anything from my subscribers. I never did.
Understand. No. I'm just like, what doctor told you that?
Yes, when you're undetectable, it's 0% chance that you can pass it to the next person. That's how me and my husband able to have unprotected sex. And we have a daughter together, and she's HIV negative as well. And we never used protection since we known each other. And yes, he know I'm positive. I told him up front, I'm not finna hide who I am for nobody. And I told him from the trauma, everything that happened to me, he witnessed it himself, because I went through my episodes Thank God I don't have them anymore.
What episodes?
I used to cry. I would cover myself up like I'm still that little girl. I would feel like I was worthless. And my husband, he was very patient with me. He was very patient with me. I was always depressed. Because, see, a lot of people don't know is HIV is not just a physical thing. It's more mental than physical. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Okay. Explain.
So when I first got diagnosed with HIV, not only did I lose my marriage, even though I left him, I felt like nobody would ever love me because I never had it before. So it's not like I was born with it. I felt like nobody would ever love me. I could never have kids again. I could never be in a relationship. I couldn't have no career. That's why I built my life after HIV, because I lost my mind for, I want to say, a year and a half. My house was disgusting. DCF could have took my baby. My mom, she came to my apartment. I was living in Section 8. She came to my apartment and she cleaned it up because she knew what I was going through, and she understood the mental battles that I was having, processing that I am HIV positive, that I have to tell someone this is who I am. I've been rejected over and over. People didn't want to be around me because they didn't have the education of being HIV positive. People didn't want to use the bathroom behind me or shower behind me because they wasn't educated on HIV and AIDS. So yes, it was a mental thing. So what I did, I became that person that I didn't have. When I was young, 20 years old, pregnant with her first baby, finding out that everybody that she loved betrayed her at such a young age, you done right. I told my story to the world because I know what it feels like not to have nobody. So I became that person. I became that person that I didn't have when I wanted to take myself out this way. I didn't want to live anymore because I felt like, what was the purpose? So I became that person. That's how I Am Brenda J was born.
Have you ever had any therapy or?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I'm still in it.
You're still in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever, have they given you any type of clinical diagnosis about?
No.
No?
No.
No depression?
No.
No anxiety?
No.
In all the years you've been in therapy, they've never given you any type of clinical diagnosis?
No. That lady told me, she said, Brenda, there's nothing wrong with you. You just have a lot of trauma.
I mean, that could be PTSD. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but like, could it be post-traumatic stress disorder?
No.
Okay. Well, Brenda, I appreciate you you coming out here to Florida to give us your story. It is a lot to process. It's a lot to digest. It's a lot to just kind of wrap your head around. Like I said, it's very brave of you and courageous to even come on camera and tell, such a traumatic story. And yeah, I just want to thank you. So